Hi, I'm Rhys Davis. I'm a graduate student researcher at the Energy Conservation Office at UC Davis. This fall, I'll be doing a little video series on all the things you didn't know you wanted to know about energy. Thanks for watching. If you were in California this summer, you definitely understand why having enough energy to cool down your home is critical. You probably also heard the term rolling blackouts being threatened on those absolute scorchers when that air conditioning was vital. There are a lot of reasons why California's energy grid was maxed out on those days, but let's start by talking about where and when all this energy comes from and where it goes. First, let's just give a shout out to the grid. Every single electron going to your refrigerator or charging your phone is balanced by a power plant of some type putting another electron on the grid. The grid works more or less like a garden hose. Okay, it might be a little more complicated, but hear me out. Appliances at the end of the hose to work, pressure in the hose has to be just right. If an appliance turns off, the water coming into the hose needs to stop too. Put simply, the energy supply has to match the energy demand. Of course, it's not a perfect system. It's not uncommon for a windstorm to come along and knock down a power line. When this happens, those electrons can't make it to the other side of the power line, which may starve people's homes and businesses of electricity. To make matters worse, those electrons need somewhere to go, and they'll follow the path of least resistance, and this can result in a power surge that knocks out power elsewhere because of too many electrons. So, where are these electrons actually coming from? 20 years ago, that was a pretty easy answer that didn't depend on the time of day too much and pretty much relied on one form of power plant with different fuel. The thermoelectric power plant, which basically just means a power plant that uses heat to make steam, which will spin a turbine that creates electricity. That heat either comes from nuclear reactions or burning coal or natural gas. There's also hydropower, generated by a turbine spinning inside of a dam. Now, because we've finally started moving away from fossil fuels to carbon-free forms of energy, we've got a new mix of technologies in the grid that take advantage of much more available resources. In sunny California, the big one is, surprise, solar energy. Photovoltaics, or solar panels, create electricity whenever light is shining on them. This means whenever the sun is out, there's more electricity available to the grid. Great, but this is not something we're used to. In the olden days, energy demand dictated when energy would be supplied. Now, we're supposed to do it the other way around? Sort of. What this means is having a fully renewable energy grid 24/7 is much harder than having a fully renewable grid just during the day. Part of the reason that the grid was so strained on those rolling blackout days this summer was that the sun started setting before the temperature started dropping. So folks were still running their ACs full blast as the grid lost all of its solar energy supply, and there were not enough sources of energy to replace it. Homes with solar panels on the roof, which are now over 1 million strong in California, will go from pushing extra electricity onto the grid during the day to pulling it back in from a grid that is now strapped for electricity supply at sunset. But we're making strides in solving this problem every day. The obvious answer is to try to store that solar electricity somewhere so that we can use it once the sun goes down. That's why record numbers of batteries are coming onto the grid every year. And as electric cars get more advanced, their batteries could become a source of energy storage as well. In the meantime, the cheapest and easiest way to give the grid a break when the sun goes down is to use your home as a type of battery. By pre-cooling your house or running the AC during the middle of the day and turning it off when the sun sets, your house will become a battery, and your house will continue to suck out the heat to keep you cool. And as more and more folks install smart, efficient electric heat pump water heaters, you can heat all the water that you will need during the day and store it before using it at night. Our electric grid has changed a lot recently in California, and it will continue to do so as we push towards a carbon-free grid. This means we need to be flexible in how and when we use electricity. But appliances will get more efficient and smarter, and we'll continue to adapt to heat wave-related rolling blackouts, wildfire-related power outages, and the rest that our changing climate throws at us. Well, thanks for watching. I hope this sparked your interest about our current electric grid.